Hello and welcome to the Profitable Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Rich, and as the founder of the Bold Life Movement and a fellow coach for more than 7 years, I know the challenges that many of you face when launching or growing your coaching business. And I'm here to pull back the curtain on the coaching industry and help you overcome roadblocks to make the impact you were born to make. Each week, I'll be interviewing successful coaches from every corner of the industry to share exactly how they have managed to generate massive impact and income. From strategy to psychology, we cover it all. This show is presented to you by Transformation Academy, a global marketplace of courses and coaching certifications. So whether you are already part of our epic community or you're brand new to this show, if you're ready to learn what it takes to turn your passion for service into a profitable business, then keep listening. You are in the right place. Welcome back to the Profitable Coach Podcast. This is episode number 22 with Kevin Crenshaw. Kevin is best known as the Heart Guy, and today we talk about everything from how he got his entrepreneurial start to creating a massive audience and earning $250,000 a year, to losing it all, building it back up again, and ultimately deciding that he was turning it all over to spirit. In today's episode, we go really deep behind the scenes and talk about some of his near-death experiences, what his process was for growing that massive audience, and some of the key takeaways that he's really had to learn how to embody so that when he builds his business from the ground up again, he knows he's doing it from an aligned place. If you have any questions about today's episode or you want to get the show notes, then head over to theprofitablecoach.com/022. As always, we're so grateful to have you here. So without further ado, please welcome the one and only Kevin Crenshaw. Welcome back to the Profitable Coach Podcast. Today I have with me the Heart Guy, Kevin Crenshaw. Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
Hi, I'm so excited to have you on because Kevin and I met many moons ago through the Tony Robbins community. And it's been so fun to see how he has built his brand, built his audience, been on a spiritual, emotional, entrepreneurial journey over the past 7 years, whatever it's been, and burned it down, built it again. Let's talk about that, Kevin. What has shifted for you since the last time I saw you?
Oh, what hasn't?
Touche.
Yeah, I mean, I want to bring it back. Yeah, do a brief overview, then I'll share my story. But for those of you listening, I got into entrepreneurship when I was 18. I started network marketing. That was my into personal development. That was my into business. My dad owned a brick and mortar shop doing rims and tires, and he built that into a multi-million-dollar franchise. And so coming from that entrepreneurial family, so to speak, I was always entrepreneurial in nature. I remember in grade school, I would draw Pokemon and sell them for quarters to my classmates. I had an art business, basically, I didn't do lemonade stands. I did some.
I love it.
That wasn't my entrepreneurial path back then. And trading cards, all the things that was I was really into that.
Early day Etsy owner.
Yes, basically. I literally would bring a bag with me and try to sell stuff to kids in school.
So good.
So I guess you could say I've always had it, but got started with network marketing, blew up in that, and really started getting really good at sales. And long story short, left network marketing to build my own fitness company because I was a group fitness instructor as well back then. And the network marketing company was about fitness. And so that was my first at bat of building my own products and digital products and my own brand and all of that. And that was really fun to just kind of get my feet wet and play around in that arena. And I did really well. I had an Instagram page that grew up to 75,000 followers. And this is back in 2015, 17-ish era.
Mm-hmm.
So
around the time that we met.
Yeah. And so that was going really well until I had a spiritual awakening. It was I don't want to do fitness for the rest of my life. What am I doing? And so I went on an entrepreneurial journey or a nomadic journey in the middle of all this, and realized that I wanted to talk about relationships because while I was really knowledgeable about fitness and I loved it and it changed my life, my own heartache and pain in relationships led me to studying more about masculine, feminine energy dynamics and human psychology and transformation and everything. So that was my area of focus. I lit up when I started talking about that, and the fitness stuff just burnt me out.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a huge jump. I started a whole new brand as the Heart Guy. I started a whole new page. I deleted the other one and just went all in. And it was a really bumpy ride for about 6 months, trying to build up what this new thing, literally, ironically, following my heart instead of following a paycheck or what was easy for me. And I was couch surfing in LA at the time. It was really rough making it work. And then when I finally got it off the ground, it blew up. I mean, making $250,000 a year for 2 years in a row. Got it from just me doing everything to like having a team of 12 people, having a tour in back-to-back cities and back-to-back weekends, Dallas, LA, Toronto, Miami. That was so fun. And then I somehow got $110,000 in debt, my business coach threatening to sue me, and an eviction notice on my door. So while I had all this success, quote unquote, momentum, and my audience was building and I was impacting so many people's lives, I had a lot of blind spots that very quickly caught up to me. And so I did what I needed to do, and I paid those people back in the span of 3 months and burnt my adrenals out. And shortly after that, had a near-death experience that we can talk about. And that put me on a different path of being trauma informed, really understanding the deeper layers of what it is that I was doing. It deepened my work for sure. And it put me on another trajectory, still helping people in their relationships, but more from a somatic lens, seeing things as feel your emotions. It just deepened my work, right? From a business perspective, though, I got really distracted with relationships. I got really distracted with things going on in my life, and I was really burnt out. And so I was trying to bring myself to launch or to get up and do the thing again, because I was this guy that had built this empire, and now I'm not and barely scraping by, and I'm living on savings. I needed a break, but it lasted too long. Eventually I ran out of money, and I started a car rental business, try to get some money. And I did that with no money down. And that helped me get along for a little bit until it hit the fan with that. And I was kind of faced with like, cool, do you get a job? Do you like double down and build this thing? Not again, but build something else. And I'm currently in the season of building something else that's bigger than just a coach launching courses.
Tell me more about that. What does that mean?
I'm building a company, and I can't quite give you all of the details right now because I don't know, but I feel it, and it's different than what was before. And a lot of my life right now, and this was the big aha. I was like, why did I build everything and lose it, and build everything and lose it? And it felt like I was trying to build again. And there was this thing in me that was like, nope, don't do it. And I'm like, that was protection from the universe and from God of like, you have to do it different or it's going to happen again. And I didn't want it to happen again. And it's the same thing as relationships,
right? If we keep showing up the exact same way, we're going to play the cycle.
Am I going to do it my way or God's way? Am I going to egoically build this thing to serve Kevin? Or am I going to really be in service and let that lead the way? And that has been the shift that has been taking place in my life as of the past few months.
I love it. And so,
because go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you say build it God's way, what does it look like for you on a day-to-day basis to tap into what that looks like, what that version looks like?
I want to have a plan. What am I doing? What's the steps? How's this happening? How are we making money? I want a business plan. I can show it to somebody. It's clear. All that stuff. To do it God's way, in my experience so far, has been waking up every morning and going, cool, what are you going to have me do today? Not having a quote unquote plan other than to serve and to listen. And so I've been strengthening my connection to my intuition. So the saying, you'll know when you know, when it comes to finding somebody. The same is true with life decisions. The same is true with business decisions. The same is true with a client that you want to hire or not, and not overriding the signal that my intuition is giving me, which I have sadly done a really good job of in the past, of overriding that voice and making it trying to make it the way that I want it, versus listening to my intuition and listening to my body and go, this actually doesn't feel right. So no, I couldn't do that before. I was like, no, but this is how it's going to happen, and and I'd override that. So to do it God's way is listening to my intuition, is praying about it, is not needing to know how, and just trusting the synchronicities. And it's been wild.
One of the things I want to highlight is that sometimes when we do trust our intuition, even though there's this like deep knowing, this wild thing, this wild, crazy idea that we have is meant for us, even though we have no idea how, we still can have that moment of contraction. I literally just posted about this today. Like, it's normal to hear the intuitive call and then still contract, and learning how to recognize the difference between a normal contraction and like a little bit of fear popping up versus our intuition saying, no, this is not right.
Yeah, 100%. And that discernment is really key. And
comes with practice. One of the things that I want to highlight for the listeners who are like, but how did he build his audience? So peel back the curtain a little bit on what was working and then what was burning you out, and what advice you would give to people who are like, but I do want to grow my audience without burnout.
Yeah. So I used to do the whole post X number of times a day and non-negotiable. And did it help? Maybe. Sure. A little bit. But what I've been doing recently is I may be posting 3 times a week, and I post carousels, and I post on my story when I feel like it. And it's literally like a when I feel like it type of a thing. I don't shame myself into posting. I don't lock myself into getting creative. It's a work of art, and I feel like I'm an artist, and Instagram is the canvas. So if you don't feel like painting, why the fuck are you painting? Like, you should do it out of joy and inspiration and, I have something to say. And that doesn't make sense to a business brain, because it's not something that can be measured. It's very quote unquote messy. You could say feminine. It's a different way of doing it. And I found that it's what works for me. I just had a post go viral and has had over 10,000 shares. And it happened after a massage, and while I was waiting on my friend to get done with his massage. And I just, in the moment, was so in a state of like relaxation, made this post, and it went viral. So I don't know how it went viral, other than to say I didn't give a fuck about it going viral. And I was just tapped into my own beingness, really, and sharing what was authentically true for me. Now, I could sit here and dissect it a little bit more, that I've been a content creator for over a decade. So I have these certain skills of how to effectively communicate something in a triggering way, or in a clever way that captures your attention, and could dissect it like that. But I don't think matters as much. Go for quality, not quantity, is really what I want to get at here. And
you're the second person
the biggest
this week.
thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was
The
going to say,
biggest
you're
thing
the
that built
second
my
person
audience
this week. Our lag is so
was-
funny today. I'm so sorry.
It is.
You're the second person this week that I've heard bring up this concept of being an artist. My coach talks about it in the sense of like, an artist takes raw materials, takes things that are worth nothing, and then turns them into gold. And if you're living so much in the logic brain, you're going to miss those opportunities, because you're not going to see the like diamonds buried in the trash, right? That you just need to go and like excavate. And you're not going to listen to that intuitive call or follow the passion, because you're so in the like do, and then lead to the poor adrenals getting burnt out.
And sure, that season helped, but one of the biggest things that helped more than me posting every single day was collaborating with people, getting people on my podcast, reaching out to people to go live together. That actually is what built a lot of my audience. And that was a non-negotiable for me. It was every single day I would reach out to 5 to 10 people that I genuinely wanted to talk to. I would compliment them on their work in a very specific way. And then I would just simply ask, hey, do you want to go live together? Let's have a conversation about whatever I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And I would go live probably 5 times a week. And that really
Wow.
built my audience because people would see us live together, or we would go on a podcast together and share it. Right. And so
Yeah.
that was something where just being social on social media built my audience.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to say about how you show up in that space that could really be supportive, which is just really being in your bigness and being yourself and owning that. You could do all of the tactics to build a following, but if you're a boring person, you're not going to build a following. Straight up.
Yeah.
And sure, I can be boring sometimes, but I can also know how to lean into my polarizing viewpoints or my extroverted personality, and I just let it rip.
I think it's also a combination of not just being interesting, but like you said, being interested. So whether that's pulling other people's expertise onto a live with you, or really deepening your understanding of your clients or your ideal clients that, if you don't have clients yet, like the more that you can learn and then share what you're learning and tweak your viewpoints, your own perspectives about the world and about what's possible, the more that you get to invite other people to start to make those shifts inside them. And so it's just as much about being interested as it is about being interesting.
Most definitely. Yeah.
I have a question
I would reach out to these people and was like, I love your view on this. Let's talk about it. And then it was beneficial for them and their audience because their audience probably had the same question. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. One of the things that I've, real quick, and then I'll go back to my question. One of the things I've found so underrated over the years, like it is always the thing that has put me in a different arena or put me on a different trajectory, was my genuine desire to build relationships. Like, hey, I love what you're doing. Can I just celebrate you? Or can I ask you questions? Or can I see how it is that you're doing what you're doing? And just like that genuine nature, that genuine energy is magnetic. People are like, yeah, I want to tell you about this, or yeah, like come over here and help me with this. And then you get to see behind the curtain, right? And so on that note, my question is, when you would do the lives, would you repurpose them into podcasts? And what did that look like?
I would not. Probably something I should have done.
Could have.
I just went live and then that happened. I would gain, few followers every time, and they would post it or I would post it, whoever hosted it, and as a post, and so people could see it, and that was that.
Yeah. But I bring
Sometimes
that up
we would go live and we would do a podcast though, but we should have probably, yeah.
Well, it's good. I mean, if you can get people to like offer more of their time, might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kevin, you shifted recently the way that you're serving, and you took something that used to cost money and now you're offering it for free. Walk me through that.
Yeah. So my course that really was the spearhead of me building that $250,000 business is now on YouTube for free. And part of the reason for that is because when I was trying to like jumpstart things a few months ago, I was like, I didn't know what was next, but I knew that course wasn't it. I wasn't going to launch that course again. I had done it almost 30 times. Hundreds of people gone through it. It was absolutely amazing. There's definitely things that I would change about it. I would update about it, but I didn't want to do that again because I had updated it like 4 times already. I'm like, I need to create something new. And so I don't know what that is, but until then, I still want to serve people because right now I'm just sitting on my ass on gold. And so I was like, well, I know I do want to build my YouTube. So why don't I just put it out on YouTube? And it just felt right in my body to do. And I'm like, I don't want to launch this course again. It's amazing. It can help a lot of people. And I want to grow my YouTube audience. So why don't I just start there? And so that's what I did over the course of the 12 weeks, which is how long that course is. I just released those videos out on YouTube, and hundreds, I think almost close to 1,000 people have gone through it all now. And it's helped so many people. And that's just really rewarding for me. And I started gaining a YouTube audience. So really leading with service first,
I think another thing that listeners who are kind of new to the whole create a course, share a course, promote a course, use the testimonials from it. So even if you don't want to teach that exact thing again, the feedback that you're getting on it and the reviews that people are leaving for you on YouTube, you can use as like social proof and credibility for what you do want to create moving forward. And so there's still value to be like squeezed out of that thing, even if it's not 3K every time anymore.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're spending your days listening to Spirit, saying, how do I serve? What are some of the things that Spirit has told you lately? What are the things that you've been investing your time in?
Being a lot of alone time. I just got back from Costa Rica for 3 weeks, spending time in nature and processing a lot of emotions, which is ironically a big part of the work that I help people with. So I just couldn't do it here in Austin, Texas. I needed a break from my life, so to speak. And so I went out to Costa Rica in the middle of a farm town with zero tourism and just got with the land. And it was beautiful. So resetting from that and coming back to Austin, I've kind of been tying up loose ends here and making a lot of space in my life. I've been really intentional with the people that I've been surrounded by, meeting awesome new people. And in all of that, I've met people that I'm realizing can come together as a team to help build what's next, and I want to. So just as again, it doesn't make sense. Why would I be super social when I'm trying to create a business? Well, so you can meet people who can help you create that business. So I've been doing that, lots of podcasts, lots of journaling. And I'm just really sitting with making this and doing it right from the get instead of before. Yeah. I launched very messy and it was very urgent and it was about me because I wanted to make money for myself. And so now I'm really like, okay, what's the best way that I can serve people? And in the season that I'm in right now, my financial situation it's different, but it isn't that much off than when I first launched and I was being urgent and all about me. You know, I made the money and spent it all. And now I could go into that mode again, but that's what it's like, don't do that again.
Yeah.
You have to lead with service. And so I've really just been filling up my own cup and not viewing my bank account as my identity or as my safety. And I get safety in other ways. And with that, I think has allowed me space to really come at this from a service first perspective. And what's crazy about me even saying this is in 2019, when I was building all this stuff, if you would have asked if I was service first, I would have told you yes. I genuinely believed it. Right now, I can look back and confidently say that that wasn't fully accurate. Yes, I did lead with a big heart and I had service as a big value, but it was if we follow the money, it was all very self-serving.
Yeah. Well, which to be fair is easy to do and sort of expected when you're in a state of like survival. Like need to make money. So I'm going to churn things out. I'm going to make offers and like do whatever needs to happen to build the business. And of course there's an altruistic motive in there as well. But yeah, I can sense the energetic shift that has happened within you. And so it's very cool to see someone who's been through so many cycles in their entrepreneurial journey. I think it's going to be really illuminating for people who are listening that may be in their own type of rebirth right now with the coaching business. Yeah. So I'm curious.
There's a lot.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just saying there's a lot that goes on in spiritually in coaching as well. Like in just running a business, it's more than just a to-do list and a scaling. It's a lot about your identity. It's a lot about where you where you coming from, your level of service, your level of confidence. You are your business in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I wonder if shifting to a bigger vision with the company is in part a way to take the ego out, take the need to protect yourself out so that it really can be about the service. And also then from like a practical standpoint, it can be something that you get to be the owner of and not the manager of. You can be working on the business instead of in the business and eventually sell the IP, leverage out some of these tasks to other people. Like there is really a big vision there that sounds like it's trying to sort of like clink into place.
Yeah. It's clinking. That's for sure. Yeah, it is. And that's a really good point. I haven't thought about that, but yeah, making it a bigger mission, it helps me to take myself out of it. And because for a lot of my entrepreneurial journey, and again, I was operating from a lot of scarcity mindset because I needed the money, so to speak, and I was spending it as fast as I was making it, even though I was making a lot. I was very short-minded and short-focused, and I had a short vision. It was always the next 3 months, maybe max. And I would sit and make a year-long plan, but then I'd forget about it. And what's the next 3 months, or maybe the next month, because I need to pay these people back or pay rent or whatever the heck it is. And I had horrible financial management skills. So part of this is a lot of my just sheer avoidance to looking at my finances because of my weird relationship with money back then. And so I kept tripping over myself because of that in a lot of ways. But yeah, I would say focusing on a vision and a mission that's bigger than just you, that's going to give you all the purpose and the passion that you need to keep going.
Yeah. I also think that the relationship that we have with money, and then at a deeper level, the relationship that we have with shame, because I think money is something that a lot of people have shame around. And I'm seeing that shift in the collective. I'm seeing people step forward and say, hey, I had a lot of credit card debt. Hey, I had a lot of shame around investing and not being able to see an ROI. Hey, I built it and then I lost it all. And then I was scared I couldn't build it again. And so I think that even more than just becoming financially literate, it's like becoming more connected to our shame and like letting it be, loving it, and then letting it go. Because obviously, Kevin, you are so much more than any pre-established financial patterns that you've had, and so much more than the emotions that may be coming as you're stepping into this new territory or as you're like rebuilding all the things. So I love that you're willing to share that part of the journey. I think it's really powerful for people.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just real. I know people who have multi-million-dollar coaching businesses that sometimes feel like they don't know what they're doing. Like the pedestalization and the of other coaches or other people that are in a certain tier or income bracket, whatever, like drop all of that, because everybody has their shit and everybody's dealing with stuff. And I think one big thing on the money piece that I want to give people, because maybe somebody listening is like, whoa, I can kind of resonate with that story with struggling with money or shame around money.
Yeah.
Was I de-identified with it. Meaning I close my eyes when I start stressing about money. I close my eyes, put my hand on my heart, and I say, I am not my bank account. And I listen to what my body says. If it contracts, if it relaxes, if there's weird energy, and then I just process that emotion. Because I was so attached. When I had money, I was high on life. When I didn't, I was a fucking wreck. And that controlled me so much because my identity came from having it or not having it. And so a lot of that was my conditioning growing up, but also, there's tons of reasons for it, but just feeling disidentified with it. It's just a tool. And that's taken me saying that over and over again whenever I catch myself going into those patterns or worrying about money. It's like, I'm not my bank account, and I'm bigger than my situation right now. And I serve a God that's bigger than all this shit anyway. So I have never gone without. Even when I was fucking homeless, sleeping on the street, I was never starving. I have never gone without. I'll be okay. And I think maybe going through that season was helpful, because I needed to quote unquote lose it all to be like, and you're still fucking alive. You have the greatest gift ever. Nothing bad is gonna happen, and you have way more friends now, so you're not gonna sleep on the street. But like, it's like, I'm so much more supported than I was back then. And when I thought that I had nothing, I still was very blessed.
Yeah. I can relate. There were periods, there have been multiple periods over the course of my business journey where I had so much debt and also no clear idea as to how the next check was going to come in. I mean, I've literally boarded many planes, landed in whatever destination I was going to, and been like, I don't actually know how the F I'm going to pay for what I'm doing here. And so, Spirit, please just like provide me free meals or something. And at the time, I was so identified with having to look like I did have it all together that I actually just hid even more. And I ended up being the antithesis of everything that I was preaching. And I was not walking the walk at all. And now getting to like some of the lowest moments of my whole life because of money, and then realizing I'm not only way more than money, I'm way more than human. And like whatever's happened was such a gift because it allows me to see that, like you said, even in those moments where it seemed like, how am I going to eat? How am I going to pay rent? There was always a bed. There was always a meal. Like I was always taken care of. And Spirit would put these opportunities on my path that I could not have seen coming. Couldn't have seen them. And so I think when we get to lean into what is the bigger picture here? Everything happens for a reason. That reason doesn't necessarily have to be me. What is the overarching like vision from Spirit right now? And how can I just lean into that and listen to that?
Mm-hmm. That's literally the purpose of my life right now. Lean
You're
in
not
and
the
listen.
only one. Like
Wow.
This is a movement that's happening. I genuinely believe the reason there are more coaches coming onto the scene is because there are more people waking up, and more people waking up means more people connecting to something bigger than themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see it.
So tell me more about who the people are that you're surrounding yourself with right now and why you're choosing those individuals.
That's a really good question. I love that. These are people who are connected to the Holy Spirit. And I've been using God and Holy Spirit and all this in this conversation. It's an expression of truth. You could say universe, you could say source, you could say whatever you want to say. These are people who are connected to the light, that claim it, own it, that know who the fuck they are in that realm. Because I feel like that's what I was missing before. I knew the coaching stuff, and I knew NLP, or I knew hypnosis, or I knew the strategies, and then I became trauma informed, and I knew more about the body. And there's a difference in work, coaching work, in what I'm doing specifically with my clients. There's processing emotions, and there's deliverance.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two different things. And I am surrounding myself with people who know how to do both, because I know that the deliverance bit is more of what I'm sitting here on the planet to do. And
tell me more about that.
That's a whole different can of worms conversation. Yeah. Then we're talking entities, and we're talking spiritual warfare. That's not just, oh, you have a block, let's remove your money blocks or your love blocks. This is generational curses. This is entities. This is, again, spiritual warfare. And when we can see that layer of truth and that layer of coaching to things, it really is a different ballgame. And so I'm surrounding myself with coaches and practitioners who know that side of things as well. And that's the type of conversation that I'm having almost on the daily, who are also, as you mentioned, in the movement of listening to their intuition and listening to God and following that, and doing the work. And that's who I'm surrounding myself with right now. And I feel like for this season too, it's building that skill in me, because I know there's going to be a season where maybe I start to be surrounded by people who are making more money than me, and it's building that skill. But like right now, you can't rush the seasons of life. I'm in a certain season, and I'm doing what I need to do to get the skills so that I don't revisit this shit.
I really love that perspective of thinking of our life in terms of chapters or seasons, and leaning in, like fully leaning in and surrendering to whatever the current chapter is. That chapter might be one of like deep grief, and going inside and like just sort of like dismantling and like shaking and retching. And then it might be one where you're like, wow, I'm super visible and I'm showing up and I feel really like momentous and there's a lot of, movement. And then it might be one of like, just peace. I'm just sort of like listening and tuning in to what's happening in the collective and what's happening in other realms. And I think that I keep having this vision of following the white rabbit. It's like, for me, the journey was entrepreneurship led me to personal growth, which led me, I'm going to do it this way, actually. Entrepreneurship led me to personal growth, which led me to spirituality, which led me to like, holy shit, there's a lot more going on here than we think. And it's like, you can keep going deeper and deeper. If you're watching this on YouTube, I started moving my hand upwards because I like to think of it as like an upward spiral that we're following, an upward evolution. But I think that being able to decidedly put yourself in different rooms and different conversations, depending on the chapter that you're in, is really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. It's just accepting the chapter you're in instead of trying to make it something different. Oh, I'm ready to be there, but you're forgetting to be here, and you're forgetting to be in the chapter that you're in. And if you can soak up and be actually in the now chapter or season of your life, don't be so rushed to get through this that you don't get something from this.
Yeah.
You're here for a reason to get something for it for the next chapter. But if you're rushing to the next chapter, you're not going to get the lesson, which is why people repeat patterns or lessons, because you didn't get it because you rushed through the chapter or you didn't actually learn it.
One thing that I would love to talk with you about, Kevin, is imposter syndrome. I think that a lot of new coaches, not even new coaches, a lot of people who are putting themselves out there in any way, shape, or form struggle with, who am I to do this? How can I teach this when maybe not everything in my life is perfect? So I'd love to hear, especially as a relationship coach who has been both in and out of partnership over the years, how you've related to imposter syndrome.
It's not about me. It's about the work that I do. To put it bluntly, sometimes I just tell myself to get the fuck over myself. I do good work. And if I'm going through my own heartbreak or I'm growing through my own struggle, I don't need to have it all together. Who the fuck story is that? People still want my help, even when I'm heartbroken or even when I'm going through my shit. People still reach out for support because I guide people through. I do good work. And so it's not about me, it's about the work. That's why, that's how. And my track record isn't my diploma. My results from other people are, and the results that, and the embodiment that I'm living, because a lot of, especially as a relationship coach, it's not like, I had a breakup recently and I had a lot of anxiety about judgment about it because I was really starting to talk a lot more about building healthy relationships instead of just getting over heartache or healing codependency as I was before. And when I got out of that relationship, I remember feeling like I was going to have a lot of judgment. And I was a part of this men's group and shared in front of 50 guys that it had just happened. And I was shaking and like feeling like I was about to get judged. And I'm like, I know this is bullshit, so I need to just say it so that I can clear this energy. And the reflections that I got from those men was like, dude, I trust you so much more now. Like, I would hire you because you're standing for truth and you're not just staying in something that's not aligned. That's a real fucking relationship coach.
Yeah.
And you're not just trying to keep the mask up. And I was like, fuck. So, track record or, imposter syndrome is like, okay, well, what's the North Star to that? What's the opposite of an imposter? And to whose standard is that? Because again, I know people who are building these companies that multimillionaires and they don't know what they're doing, genuinely. And they know what they're doing at the same time. They're doing good work. Yeah. So it's like, it's not about you. God works through people. You're a person. Let God work through you.
I love that. Chills. Seriously. I had a client tell me from our recent group program, she sent me a video and she was like, I know that during that program, you had some shit going on and you were vulnerable and you shared it with us. And that helped me as a coach because I got to see like a real world application of some of the stuff that we're talking about. And I got to see how my lived experience as a coach can help my clients. Whereas before I might have not shared that. I might have just sort of like kept a wall and kept a perception up. So I love when people are willing to like keep it real, keep it 100, as people say.
Exactly.
Another thing that I love about your story, Kevin, and we were talking about this a little bit before we jumped on air, is that you've made your success as a coach from things that are not helping other people make money necessarily, fitness and love. So tell me a little bit about how you realized that this could be a lucrative thing and that people were like willing to get their credit card out for something to help change their life in this way.
When people are suffering, they'll pay anything to get support. And the easy route is to be a business coach because it makes logical sense to spend money to then make more money. Mm-hmm. And there's too many coaching coaches on how to coach coaches. So I didn't want to play that bubble. I didn't want to play that game personally. It's a low-hanging fruit, sure, but I also feel like it's saturated and there's way too many people that haven't done anything that are just trying to get started in that. And that's a whole conversation. But for me, I was like, what do I want to talk about? I don't want to talk about building a business. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your intuition, your relationship intimately with other people. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, that's what lights me the fuck up. And that's where I can... And I really want to help people spiritually evolve. And that arena of relationships, people can start to see themselves deeper. And it makes sense for me. It's more of my personality. It's who I am and I love it. And the more that you operate in integrity with who you really are, instead of chasing money, when I left for college, I remember I was in this personal development seminar before the out of high school going into college. And the speaker said something along the lines of, if you follow money, you're leaving your heart up to chance. But if you follow your heart, your wallet will be taken care of. Mm. And that has stayed with me ever since. So whatever lights me up is going to put me in my highest excitement and in my most creative flow, which is magnetic for abundance to flow through me. Yeah. When I'm chasing money, you're going to be stressed and your energy can oftentimes be contracted and you're not the most creative or not the most excited. You start getting stressed, you're on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. I heavily relate to this. When I launched my coaching business back in 2015, people they saw what I had created and they started approaching me for personal branding coaching. So I was like, all right, give the people what they want. I created Bold Life Business School and I was helping coaches, photographers, writers, people who were like new to building a brand. And then the coaching industry blew up and I was in a year-long mastermind that I just sort of stopped relating to the woman who was leading it. And I felt like I was in a cookie cutter. Everyone was a coach for coaches. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. And I basically, this is one of the many things that caused me to start to hide as a coach and dim my light and take on other people's stories and my own stories. And it wasn't until this year, January, Transformation Academy, who sponsors this podcast, they found me and were like, hey, we'd love for you to come be our head coach for the Quantum Leap Business Boot Camp, which is for coaches. And I had literally set one of my words for the year as quantum. The other one was bloom.
Oh, wow.
And I had just gotten fired literally the week before from a job that I was miserable at. And my manager, who I'm still friends with, she was like, Kim, you are wilting here. I need you to go bloom. And I was like, ooh. what? And then this company finds me, and I was like, and I love it. And the people that I help are amazing, and this company's amazing. But for whatever reason, I like couldn't do it under my own umbrella. But doing it under the TA umbrella, I've like never once had an issue about it. And now, because I've gotten to like sharpen my coaching skills again and just like really tap into my own bigger why in my own business, I have deeper clarity on like, what is the mission and like, who is it that I serve? Some of them are going to be coaches, but mainly it's just people who are like, I don't want a fucking small life. I need to create. I need to leave a legacy. And I don't want to keep being the only thing that's blocking me from what I fucking want. Like, done, no more. And so I share that all to say that we all have stories. They block us from things that we would actually be maybe good at. But, you know, diving into deeper like understanding of what those blocks are can help you start to get out of your own way. Yeah. Yeah. Highly relate.
Truth. Yeah.
Okay. So what's next for you, Kevin? Aside from listening to Spirit, are you currently able to work with clients? Like, can people reach out to you and work with you right now?
Yep, I have openings for one-on-ones. That's what I've really been doing a lot this past year, is a lot of one-on-ones. So it's been refining that process. And with one-on-one clients, I help people activate that connection to their intuition and process relational trauma from stuff in their past, which is most of the time usually with exes. That's a pattern that's coming up in your love life. Sometimes it's with parents, but we go to an emotion and we process it. And in that processing, your brain becomes very neuroplastic afterwards. And so then we double down on doing the thing that you weren't doing before. Example, say somebody isn't having difficult conversations. They sweep things under the rug constantly, or they bite their tongue, and they're not speaking up for themselves. We process something. I don't know what it is. Anger, grief, something. We process something once I get clear on that. And then for 2 weeks, it's accountability to every single day. You're having difficult or uncomfortable conversations where you're saying no, you're setting boundaries, you're speaking your truth, you're going to that person and apologizing, you're clearing the air in this conversation. And then you're so empowered that by the end of those 2 weeks, and your neurocircuitry is different in your brain, that it's just what you do. It's just like breathing, and there's no hesitation to it. What your old hard is your new easy, so to speak. So that's like a 1 month guided thing that I do with clients, but I also do stuff that's a lot more of a deep dive.
Yeah. I have an idea. Something just occurred to me. One of the things that was happening during that group program was I entered into a relationship, and then that relationship quickly ended. And so I would love for the next, I don't know, few minutes to get your expert perspective, your coaching, whatever, on where I might be playing out a pattern and what advice or support you would give to someone like me inside your container. So
I love it. Let's do it.
The context is I met this person he was like 9 years younger than me. And more than any other relationship in my entire adult life, it was easy. We were on the same page. My nervous system felt so safe. It was literally like I had met my match. I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. When you know, you know. And he was just as in, like, none of the old fears and stories ever came up. And there were like all these little moments that matched exactly what was on my vision board. Like, it was just crazy. And then we had our first like tough week. You know, we're showing different sides of ourselves now. And over the course of about a week, he just totally shut down, literally dissociated. And he was like, yeah, I barely feel like, I don't feel anything for you anymore. I don't really feel much in general. And so what a close friend of mine, who's also a coach, shared with me is A, his reaction has nothing to do with you. That's his own stuff. And B, well, your experience of him has everything to do with you, because where are you still harboring a belief that people will love you and then leave? They'll love you up until a point and then they'll go. And I was like, damn, both of those things feel real true. So
maybe, I mean, how long were you all together?
Not a long time, like a month.
Great.
I'm a quick filterer, Kevin.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That month, was different than any other month in my adult life. And it wasn't like younger when I was younger and I'm like, oh my God, we're so in love. It was like, I feel good. I feel chill.
What if this is just a sign that you're heading in the right direction?
I love that story.
What if that's just a reminder that like, it could be like this. And you don't really know if you're compatible until you start getting into ruptures and repair. Truly, that is probably the biggest thing in a relationship, especially if you're monogamous and want a long-term relationship. You align values and all that stuff's great, but repairing ruptures is probably the biggest skill and the most important part of building a union, which is different than being in love. Yeah. So, what if it's a sign that you're headed in the right direction and a invitation to now also put on that vision board how you repair ruptures?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Because one of the things that came to me was like, oh, okay, these images that I had, they definitely came to fruition. I mean, we like to a T look like these exact images. It was kind of wild. And I was like, but nothing on the images says this image will last for the rest of your life. Nothing on the image says that, right? And so allowing maybe this engagement, maybe this like relationship was those images, but it doesn't mean that it's the last one I'll have. Like vision boards are meant to be created and then recreated.
So recreate it and have it convey something about how y'all navigate conflict together.
I really like that.
Because that's the juicy stuff. That's the skill of learning to dance together.
Chills, Kevin. That really lands.
What if it's that simple? You know? Yeah. That's what I'm strengthening my connection to my intuition. That's intuitively what I got. Like, I don't think it has anything to do with personally. I could see where this other person's could say like, oh, somebody loves you up until a point, but like, I don't think it's that deep personally.
Well,
sure,
it's definitely
maybe
an old
on
story
some truth in some level, but got it. Okay.
That might be where she got it from.
Yeah, cool. Look at it, but I see. Okay.
But what if both?
And sometimes things just happen and it's not that deep. Yeah. And yeah, cool. It could be both too.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing is like, whatever transpired with that relationship led me down so many different rabbit holes trying to understand it when it ended that I never would have gone down. And so I now have a deeper understanding of parts work, of needing to feel the emotions and not judge them, of like the real gift. And like you said, what if it's just showing me I'm getting even closer? What if it's just showing me I really can call in what's on my vision board? Like, I already knew that, but what if I just needed a reminder?
Amazing. Yeah. We say thank you.
Yeah. Thank you more, please.
Yes.
All right, Kevin. So if you had one parting word of wisdom for brand new coaches or people that are trying to take it to the next level in their coaching business, what would it be?
Be authentic, and sometimes that means stop trying to find the secret formula for how to do a coaching and what you need and your email scheduler and content creation and all the stuff that's out there. Cut the noise, tap into yourself. What is it you have to say? How do you want to help people? All the other stuff is just the fluff.
I love that. Where can people get more of you, Kevin?
The Heart Guy on Instagram or on YouTube. It's Kevin Crenshaw and heartguy.com.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing your soul with us, sharing your vulnerable, authentic, real experience, and for being on the show. It's so nice to connect. It's literally been years. I love having a platform where I get to reconnect with people.
It's the best. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, sending you so much love. Mwah.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 22 of the Profitable Coach podcast. Again, if you want to get access to Kevin or the show notes, head over to theprofitablecoach.com/022. There you'll get access to all the resources we talk about on today's episode. And if you're really looking how to magnetize your dream clients, then head over to theprofitablecoach.com/freebie, FREEBIE. There you'll get access to our client attraction toolkit, and this training is completely free. It's our gift to you. So if you loved today's episode, do me a favor, hit subscribe, leave us a review, and come follow me on Instagram so we can continue the conversation. I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing what it is that you want us to talk about on these episodes. So you can find me at the Kimberly Rich over on Instagram. Sending you guys massive love, and we'll see you on next week's episode.